Today is Friday, November 18th, 2022, and we have one application to review during our public hearing this morning. Let's take a few minutes here this morning and walk through the Parkway 400 office buildings and talk about what they're going to be presenting this morning, so we're ready for that public hearing. We saw them last month. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We saw them in September. We saw them in our September 16th meeting. We did approve. Let me go back through, make sure we approved the site plan that they presented in September. We did approve the exterior elevations and materials with a few conditions. Let's see. Staff is to review the photometrics for final approval. That was another motion we made, and then the last motion that Mr. Corkle made was to defer the landscaping. So they are back today with some exterior elevations and materials and their revised landscaping plan at this point. So any questions or comments about that? All right, we'll be hearing, the applicant is here this morning, so we'll be hearing from them at our public hearing. We also have gotten our meeting minutes from October 21st. I have not had a chance to look at those. I don't know that everybody has.
I have not.
Okay, so let's we will probably defer approving those meeting minutes.
I have some comments. I'll send them to you on the side.
Okay. No, we'll do that during the public hearing. So, yeah, they'll give us a chance. Actually, give us a chance up here on the board and those that aren't here this morning to review the meeting minutes and then approve them. And speaking of our next meeting, just FYI, our next meeting will be the second Friday of December, so make sure that's on your calendars. It's going to be the December 9th will be our December Design Review Board meeting, so I think there'll certainly be a few applications during that hearing. All right. I know that's been very, very quick. Is there any other comments or questions this morning? Otherwise, I will adjourn the workshop session. We'll go get our coffee cups filled, get back here at 9 o'clock and start with our public hearing. All right. See you in a few minutes. How's that?
1 minute. 1 minute. Guess they could probably come up and get set up.
Okay, we all set? Ready to go? Pat, you ready?
Yes.
All set?
Tracy got me set up.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the City of Alpharetta's Design Review Board public hearing. Today is Friday, November 18th, 2022. Let's see, our first order of business this morning is roll call. So the four of us are here. The most important four are here this morning. No.
That's right.
I'm
Dedicated.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here this morning. So I know Ms. Palmer is out, Ms. Rhodes is out, Mr. Owens is not here, and then our alternates are not here as well. So, yes, Mr. Woodman is filling in for Brett this morning, so thank you for being here as well. Brett's. So go easy on Michael this morning as well. But okay, let's do this. If we will stand, face the flag, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for that. All right, our next item on the agenda is any items from staff this morning? Anything from staff? So,
Nothing from staff.
Good morning.
good morning. Good morning from staff. Okay.
Good morning from staff. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Item DRB 220048, off leash. Just wanted to let everyone know that that would be deferred into the December 12th, 2022 meeting.
Okay. All right, very good. So we're deferring off leash until December. Okay, good. Anything else from staff this morning? No? Okay. Anything from board members this morning? Well, I will say I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. It's less than a week away, so the holiday season is upon us, I think. So for those that may be traveling, safe travels, and for those that have people coming in to see them and have a feast with the families, that's a good thing as well. So, okay. Next item is approval of the October 21st meeting minutes. And I know I haven't had a chance to review those meeting minutes from our meeting last month. So I'm going to propose that we defer approving those minutes until our next meeting, which will allow other board members to take a look at the minutes and give us some time to look at the minutes as well. So, yes, let's have a motion to defer.
Okay.
Bill.
I move that we defer the meeting minutes from October 21st, 2022. And a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Rocco, second by Mr. Swing. Any comments or questions about the motion? There being none, I'll call for a vote to defer the October 21st, 2022 meeting minutes. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? No opposition. Motion passes 4-0. All right. So that's some of our homework for next month will be to review the October 21st meeting minutes. All right. Our first application and only application this morning is the Parkway 400 office building. So come on up or come on down. If you will introduce yourself, make sure you speak into the microphone, and then give us an overview of what we have in our packet today, please.
Okay. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harvey Rudy. I'm with Greenstone Properties. We're back before you today to talk about a project we were going, the last time you approved part of our packet, so we're here to come back and get the rest of it approved. So thank you for that. So go ahead and load up our.
I think if you just minimize, okay.
How are we doing on our technology this way?
Well, it seems to be working. Keep your fingers crossed.
So last time we were here, you asked us to come back with some I guess, better elevations, showing detailing on the brick and so forth. So we were back with some better renderings to show you that right now.
Okay.
And then on the landscape part too, we've got our folks here too to show the landscape changes that were made based on the comments we received at the last meeting. So.
Okay, very good. Why don't you start with the, if you want, start with the exterior elevations of materials.
Okay.
In fact, let me do this, Harvey. While you're doing that, let me read the motion as it was as it's in our minutes from September, so it's just a gentle reminder for everybody. So Vice Chair Swing offered a motion to approve the elevations and materials as presented with the following conditions. The applicant will submit the brick detail to staff for final approval, including the soldier courses above the windows. Number 2, the applicant will add a water table to the brick section like the Evans building. And then item number 3, which has a couple bullet point notes. Item number 3 is the utility enclosure will match the building. So those were kind of the 3 conditions that were on the exterior elevations and materials. That motion was approved 4-0 with Board Member Rocco not voting because she had to leave during the presentation, in fact.
Do I need to make that comment now?
Yes, once you
Okay.
make it.
So I was here during the presentation, and I had to step out for the vote. However, I am still qualified because I'm aware of this case for vote today.
For participating and voting today. Good. All right, very good. Thank you for that. Okay. All right, Harvey, back to you then for the.
All right, thank you. So what you see now are some better renderings that we've had done since our last meeting to show you that. So those show the 2 buildings coming off the roundabout. Facade of one of the buildings with landscaping.
Yeah, I like the changes you did to the brick detail.
Thank you.
It adds a lot more interest to it.
And honestly, that was intended. It's just that
Yeah,
we had some
it didn't show up.
pretty bad renderings.
Didn't show up? Okay.
Honestly, so.
Yeah, and just,
Our Nelson folks did us right and got us.
and I just want to make the comment, make sure it gets built this way, because sometimes people don't build it the way the rendering, they show the renderings to us, and then that becomes a problem.
Well, I'll say this, we did Kimball Place just next to it, and
Yeah.
I think my opinion, it looks dead on from the renderings versus
Good.
what actually got built, so.
So you're still not a fan of the water table, though?
Well, let me show you what we did. So this is the same, we just stripped out the landscaping so you could see the elevation better.
Okay,
So, yes, you can see all the brick detailing around the top, around the windows and so forth. So what we've done is we put in the water table at the pilasters coming down.
right.
This is very similar to almost exactly what we did with Kimball Place, where the water table is at the pilasters. Why this is important to us is when you're on the inside of the building, at the windows there too, our tenants really like to have full-height glass to look out. And if you have a water table that comes up 2 feet, 8 inches, or whatever like that, now there's a sill condition, and so tenants can't see out. And so when we're marketing our buildings, we find that to be a pretty important and pretty marketable, I guess, feature of our buildings. Kimball Place has that. The rest of our buildings have that too. So we're presenting this as a compromise to show a water table, but yet keep some of the glasses full height.
Okay. Yeah, usually, and it's just for an aesthetics, right? And kind of having a certain look to it to have that water table and especially when you're sort of close to the downtown area. But these buildings are not really visible from the public right away, so I guess I'm a little less concerned about it for these buildings. The only thing I would say is, I don't know how it's worked out on the other buildings, but, water tables serve a bit of a practical purpose too, right? So you don't get leaves and debris built up against the windows and water splashes and everything. And I don't know if your landscapers are like my landscapers, but they're just gonna blow everything back behind the bushes against the building. So it just, serves a bit of a purpose just to have, even if it's not a 2-foot water table, to have something down there for practical purposes, right? But that's going to be more of an issue for you than for
Right. I think
us.
we do have a.
Well, and so we have provided a 2-foot stone strip adjacent to the bottom base of the full building. And so that'll help with some of the backsplash and maybe to keep, the landscapers will be aware to keep that clear, that'll get blown. And so that's kind of our solution.
All right, good luck with that, because,
Well, for the same reason the tenants like to see out of the glass, they don't want to see a bunch of debris.
oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
We'll get a call from Jim or Susan that you need to.
I mean, I'd run at least a couple of courses of brick along the bottom or something, just so that you can get a little, I don't know, but it's,
To that point, we
Yeah.
probably will have, the glass is not going to be sitting at dirt level. That's never a good
yeah, right.
waterproofing issue, so we will work with civil to vary that grade a little bit. So grade level is just
Below, yeah.
the floor level.
Like in this rendering, that you can see like a black band along the bottom. Why is that? Is the floor actually a little higher than the ground level there? Or is that just a rendering is that just an artifact of the rendering?
Just below that, that's just a reflection in the render.
It is, okay, all right. I was wondering if you had done something down there exactly for that purpose we were just talking about. Okay,
Well, that is a good point. If they do make sure the exterior elevation grade is below the floor slab, interior floor slab grade, then you will see something, but it'll also help if there is any splash or anything that comes up to minimize that, I guess. So, okay.
Okay.
All right, very good. How about the last item was the dumpster enclosure? Is there a rendering of that, or?
We don't have
Okay.
it, but
All right, it's in
and
the-
obviously used to match the building
Yeah,
materials.
so we'll use the same
On the
brick.
surround, yeah.
okay.
All right, very good. All right, was there anything else? Let's see. So we got the water, we talked about the water table, the dumpster enclosure, and the brick details. So I guess probably what we need to do for this one is do a new motion
Yeah.
based on what they presented today.
You want to do that now or wait till we do landscaping, review
You
landscaping?
know what? Why don't we go ahead and do it now?
Do it as we go.
Yeah, well, I'll take care of it while we're on the subject.
All right, Mr. Chairman, regarding DRB 220039 Parkway 400 Office Building, motion to approve the new elevations as presented today, and a motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Swing, second by Ms. Rocco. Any further comments or questions about the motion on the floor? There being none, I should do this. Before we vote on the motion, is there any public comment about this application?
Yeah,
Public comment.
and just to clarify, the condition we just discussed about the dumpster enclosure or the utility enclosure matching the building still applies, right?
Carries over.
Yeah, carries over.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? There being none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? No opposition. Motion passes 4-0. Okay? Got that one taken care of. All right, now let's talk about the landscaping. And before we get to the landscaping, let me just read the motion that was made about the landscaping in September. Board Member Corkle offered a motion to defer landscaping based on the following comments. The wall materials need to be clarified. Landscaping should change based on discussion, which includes screening of the wall. The roundabout and sidewalks be adjusted as discussed. The south planting strip will be field adjusted based on existing conditions, and that area will be fully irrigated. And that motion was made by Mr. Swing and or seconded by Mr. Swing, and it was approved 5-0. So, all right, let's talk about the landscaping this morning.
There you go.
And if I could ask, before we get into plantings and all that, if we could talk about the retaining wall and clarify like where the retaining wall is and how high it is.
Okay.
And just remind us on all that, because that's sort of a big part of this, I think.
So zoom into the wall area. Well, I can do it. I'm just trying to get there. Sorry. This mouse. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, here we are. All right. So this is our frontage along North Winds Parkway. And previously, the wall was wrapping from the front corner all the way around, and then it travels to the back of the site. In coordination with Sybil, we worked together to reduce the height of the wall, and by pulling the wall back from the road, I think about 9 to 11 feet, we were able to reduce the height and then reduce the length of the wall. So instead of starting at the corner here where it was previously, it starts here at about this first parking island. And that would be at grade. We travel to the corner right here, and at our highest point, we're at about 8 feet at the frontage. And then here at about this point right here, we transition to the modular block wall. And for the frontage, we're proposing a port in place with stone veneer.
So there is a, does this have the wall? Okay, I got it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Is the wall shown here?
Yes, it is. You can see top and
I'll zoom
bottom.
in a little bit here.
What about on the, so
There
where,
are pipes shown on this, which kind of really grab your attention, but there's a,
This
There
right
it is,
here.
right there, yeah.
So the wall terminates at that spot where the arrow is?
Yes,
oh, so the wall doesn't go to the corner?
no.
That's,
it did on our last iteration.
I thought I remembered it did, yeah, okay.
Modified our
So,
parking a little bit.
so again, walk us, all right, start with where your pointer is right now. The height of the wall right there is
That is 0.
2 feet or 0, I guess.
That's 0. That's
That's
where it
0.
starts.
Okay, and then the first part of the wall is 2 feet tall, right? No?
This is,
Oh, I thought it was 56. It's 58 there. Okay, it goes from, so that's 3 feet right there at that point. Okay. Heading north, it's,
7.
So what's happening page south on this sheet, we have a slope that comes down from the base of the wall toward the road, because the road is dropping as it travels north. And so as you kind of follow the wall from left to right across the page, as this slope begins to drop, it's starting to reveal more wall. So there's kind of a wedge effect to it, right? So at the end of the wall on the left side, it's tying into grade. And as you move toward the right, you're starting to see the grade. The top of the wall is fairly consistent. There's a little bit of a variation, fairly consistent, but the ground elevation is dropping as you're scanning across left to right. So it's starting to reveal more of the wall. So it tapers or expands, whichever way you want to look at
So
it.
it goes from 0 to
0 to 8.
8 at the corner?
at the corner.
And does it get taller as you go back from the corner? Or, looks like,
There's
no,
some-
the elevation's coming back up.
Yeah, there's variations
does.
from there.
Yeah.
It actually gets a little bit shorter for a length of
Yeah,
run,
okay.
and then in the back, there's a little bit of a,
So the line type changes as it turns the corner. Is that where it changes from the cast in place to modular?
It got a little thicker, yes.
yeah.
For the modular starts right about here.
That, we usually do that to kind of account for the camber in the wall, the fact that modular wall is not going to, most modular walls, depending on the blocks, have a little bit of an angle on them, right?
Sure.
So they take up a little bit more room when you look at it in 2 dimensions.
And the laydown area for that wall, the fabric, the support fabric, is that going to be able to be done over the top of that storm?
Yes, yes.
So the storm's private, no easements, you can do what you want to above it?
That's right. All of that is just serving the property, right?
I was going to suggest, what if we took the concrete wall, the concrete with the stone face, and turn it further back so that at least it's not very apparent from North Winds Parkway. Maybe take it back to the first parking island, if you follow me. And then make that change or terminate, change the,
30 feet or whatever that is?
right. With that, I mean, that gives you kind of consistent visibility as you're coming. I guess that would be south on North Winds Parkway, because you got the detention pond, and then you'll see that, rather than just terminating it right there. And then the other thing I think we want to make sure is the wall that you're proposing along North Winds, is that matching what we call the Evans building wall? The
Yes.
materials?
We
Okay.
have the exact sample from Evans, so we've coordinated.
Oh, okay.
that, And then this is what they're using at Evans.
Okay. I think it just makes sense. The properties are so close in proximity to one another that it's like, okay,
And did Evans have a railing?
yes.
So the railing, everything else will match? Okay.
Yeah, it's a,
Well,
it's
that
a,
was that good streetscape consistency anyway.
Yeah, now, the sample you just, and it could just be the sample, right? The sample you just showed had how many different sizes on there? It's like 4 different sizes of stone.
Yeah, this
And, yeah, and the one on the Evans building has a lot more different sizes of stones, right? Is that just, they just didn't put them all on the sample board? Okay, all right,
But this is the exact specification and
okay.
okay. Yeah, it looks the same color-wise, it just, I noticed looking at the Evans wall, there must be 7 different sizes
Variation
of sizes in there, right? So, yeah, so just if you give, just make sure that, when your mason does that, that they look at the Evans wall and match that look.
And is there any concern about the proximity of cars parking in the surface parking lot and where the wall is or where that fence is? I guess we've got a curb and gutter kind of for the parking lot, right? And that acts as a wheel stop for vehicles.
That's correct.
Okay.
And yeah, we would.
We don't need any
Either
kind
we
of,
could add additional wheel stops in the parking stalls, but I think we've got enough space in the landscape area behind the curb to make that happen.
you don't need a guardrail or anything like that.
Well,
So,
we already have the railing.
yeah, well, that doesn't stop a car. That will stop a person, but,
It'll be fine.
all right, just talking out loud
You
here.
Put the wall up another 4 feet. and
No,
keep that
no, not that.
bull from driving off there.
Then that'll be like a DOT, that'll be a DOT barrier then or something,
Right.
so, okay. All right, very good. So the wall, the configuration or the location of the wall has changed since our last meeting, which is good. I think that,
As long as Fulton County will allow all this over the top of their storm, over the top of all their stuff, Fulton County's atrocious these days.
Right, oh, yeah.
And the one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing down there anymore, and they're awful, so I'm sure you're.
Yeah, we've gone to, getting encroachment easements and things like that, indemnity agreements, it's a lot of fun these days.
They're awful. They're just awful.
okay.
What about the planting in front of those walls now?
yes, so, let's see.
Well, if that Evans wall is, if we get back to the other picture, it's not tiered. That's probably close, right? Yeah, I think we're okay.
Did I see there's 2 water vaults, one on each corner of this lot? There's one at the main vehicular entrance, and there's another water vault at the south end, right? There's one there, and there's one at the vehicular entrance to the site, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's for water and fire protection service, yes.
Is there another vault up top? Screen top?
Right here.
No, yeah, right there. Are there 2?
Those are separate services for each of the buildings.
Okay,
Sir.
okay. So you got a lot of planting.
We have a lot of planting. We needed to cover that slope with plantings instead of just grass. And so I believe your comments from the last round, we'd like to screen the wall a little more than we were. And so we've incorporated some additional.
When it was modular, so now it's.
So now we can see it.
Well, yeah,
Well, we will. We've worked in a few groupings of Nellie, R. Stevens, Osmanthus. So we have a few upright evergreens, and we incorporated some jessamine from the top of the wall to spill over in just a few areas between those.
Okay. A little more heavy with evergreens versus perennials, I hope.
Yes.
And then do you have any perennials out there, like perennial flowering, like black-eyed Susan or any of that stuff that tends to go away in about 2 or 3 years of normal maintenance?
We're
Probably my
using,
biggest concerns is things like that just don't survive 2,
Mm-hmm.
3, 4 years down the road.
it looks like we're using Stella, daylily. That's pretty hardy.
Sure.
We do have a couple little patches. I believe this crosshatch with the cross, that's a black-eyed Susan coneflower mix. So we do have a couple little spots, but that ties into the frontage on Evans that was planted there. So that would be,
My favorite is daylilies. Just like daylilies. You know that.
You would like to suggest we
Well,
reduce
they-
planting toward
I'm gonna leave that up to Jennifer, but, you know, the big thing before was, you know, when it was a modular wall, I'm like, all right, we gotta screen that thing, you know? And now it's a matter of, it's a stone wall and enhancing that, right? And I see that enhancement. Jen's challenge here is the slope coming down, and you just can't put grass on it. Although you tried next door, it's just a wall and some grass, but I think you've got some steeper slopes here to deal with, so.
We do.
I just, you know, that's how Jennifer chooses to handle that stuff, but the slope itself, you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, just, you know, the perennials, you know, the lesser those, because they just don't survive over time. What are the street trees real quick?
Black gum.
Okay.
That ties into what's continuing further down.
Is that the star symbol?
That is this, the larger one right here.
Okay.
And then we've got Natchez, single stem, crepe myrtle. This is the kind of the star. And then we've also incorporated, I believe that's
Okay.
chase tree. Yes. In between.
One of the few places you don't have a easement, you can't plant stuff. Okay.
And so we just have some, you know, smaller groupings of the Nelly and the osmanthus. So you'll get some upright evergreen at the backdrop, but then we still have the ruby and the ligustrum kind of at the wall at the back periodically.
And just as a memory refresher, what was the street tree on the other side of that property?
On the other side?
The existing on the
What we're calling the Evans.
Evans side.
Yeah.
Black gum.
So, okay.
We
that's-
continued it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the themes continued. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that roundabout, I think we can.
Okay, let's
Cool.
see here. Touch sheet. Here it is. All right. So the roundabout. Previously, we were showing a square walk around the circular roundabout. And so what we've done is we've pushed the sidewalk back off the curb line in a consistent, so we've got a consistent landscape area at the front of the sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the roundabout. And then we also have a landscaped area to the other side, to the back side of the sidewalk. And so it really just carries the same radius, pretty much, the sidewalk around the roundabout.
Do you anticipate any drop-offs?
Probably not at these points. I think that would happen at the front of the buildings
Okay.
here and then up in this area, most likely.
So the center area of the roundabout, the very middle, what is that made of, or what's there?
Talk about materials?
A
Yes.
landscape
Yep.
area at this point.
what's intended landscape area. Something I think
I didn't hear you.
a truck could drive over. I mean, it wasn't intended to be a landscape area.
Right, but what's the hardscape, I guess, is the question.
We were showing, let's see, you have that on the slipper, don't you, Chris, that image? With the,
Color variations for the different zones.
Oh,
Here we
see,
are.
I guess
yeah,
So that's, that center area then, I guess you're expecting that there may be some larger trucks coming through there and may end up driving over the curb or driving through it, or? All right, there we go, let's see.
So it's,
A mixture of concrete and pavers.
so where it says concrete, it has a brick hatch to it. So is that just true concrete with normal scoring or expansion joints, or is it a textured concrete? Is it a formed concrete?
I believe that was just regular concrete. And then we had the paver at the apron here.
And
And on the
paper,
center.
What, that Hanover? That was Hanover. That's Hanover.
Yes, this darker paved stone,
Slate gray type.
this one.
Got a piece of that sitting next to my desk.
And this color, the darker gray, ties into some of the architectural features on the corners of the building as well.
So, indeed, so that's truly meant, that concrete's just meant to be a field of plain gray concrete?
Well, I know we're showing a pattern on there, kind of a brick pattern. I think
Yes.
it
I'm
could be-
ignoring that, but I'm just trying to hear from you what
Yeah.
it's intended to be.
I don't see why it couldn't be scored or
It's gonna be paved.
some type of form or, yeah.
Just, I'm
Pavers.
just throwing out there, just plain gray concrete in a circular pattern and you're trying to score it, you know, you start, it's getting a little iffy, but
I'm just thinking you almost, you need something to create a roundabout, if, you know.
you need an
Otherwise-
edge of some type if you're, just make it interesting.
Otherwise, I mean, all right, do you expect people that are entering off of North Winds, they come up your main drive, and they enter the, I'm gonna call it the cul-de-sac, do you expect them to travel in a counterclockwise motion or to get to the southern parking lot, for instance, or are they just coming in and making a quick left turn? You follow me? Do they go around the roundabout, or they just go shoot off?
The intent is for them to go around.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Probably some sort of sign, waving.
Straight edge, curved edge.
We were just thinking a larger truck.
Harvey, if you'll speak in the microphone, thank you.
Yeah, there'd be some sort of wayfinding or something like that to tell people, like you would do in a normal roundabout, to tell people going around. And obviously, people are, tenants in the building and visitors would know that. However, larger trucks won't be able to negotiate, like a fire truck, for example, may have to do a direct left, and that's why we left that center.
So,
area
just, so is that like an E, I mean, would it be raised in the center there to kind of create that boundary so people do, and then maybe change the materials to,
Right.
just thinking, but then you've got a truck driving over it, you don't want them to crush, you know,
Just typically a 4-inch difference. So that center island is usually raised about 4 inches. The edging on that would be kind of a chamfered. type
so it's eased, it's not just a straight up
vertical
curb.
surface, that's
Yeah,
right.
I noticed it says truck apron, I think, on your
That's right. So it's-
drawing here.
So there'll be.
It says
so-
truck apron pavers, I think.
Yeah, it does.
It is, yeah.
Just trying to figure, I'm sorry, we're just trying to figure out what's there. So, I mean, I think you can make it a nice feature, you know, literal, you know, maybe not a water fountain, but something that does give it a sense of place so that people do have to circumnavigate the cul-de-sac and not, or the roundabout, and not just come into it like an intersection. Make sense? Am I,
I think the color differentiation and the raised curb is going to help with that,
okay.
to alert the driver that, so, you know, center island. you know, you
Stay-
have to
stay
go
off of
around
it.
Yeah.
They'll get used to it, then somebody won't go around, they'll just go this way, and they'll,
And then there are four little squares kind of there near the center of that circle. What are those representative of? Right? Yes, the pointer, yes, right there.
It's not a fountain.
Okay.
I mean, who drew it? Civil draw it? LA draw it? Architect draw it? Who drew it?
I think that's coming through from the base.
Yeah.
I think it was there from the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a carryover from early.
So,
Guess we're not sure.
I mean, usually, you know, what we see in a circle is it's, you know, it ends up being a bit of a focal point, right? And usually a little more dressed up, right, with pavers and something to make that sort of, because it's, I mean, it is a focal point. You're coming into your, right? So I guess what I'd like to see is that, you know, a little more, you know, pavers on the circle and do something in the middle. I understand you need to be able to drive over it, right? So I'm not talking, even if you had a design in the pavers or something in the center, just to make that circle a little bit more of a focal point come in. And I like what you did with the change to the landscaping. I think that adds a lot.
Yes, it does. It
We
helps.
agree, and we're great with that.
Yep.
That's a good suggestion, thank you.
And then so it'll basically be asphalt coming up to the circle, then the circle will be something pavers or whatever, and then it transitions back to asphalt going back to the parking lot. And all of your sidewalks are poured concrete?
That's correct.
Are there any, I guess are the only crosswalks right there by the circle?
The three.
Yeah,
I mean, it's your vehicular entry, right? It's your vehicular hotspot, if you will. So I don't know what's going on. It doesn't sound like you guys know what's going on, but it needs to be dressed up. That's the vehicular area that gets the most notice, gets the most attention. You feel it under your car as you drive in, that sort of stuff. So I'd like to know what it is. And, just plain gray concrete probably isn't it. So there just needs to be some fenestration added to that, in my opinion. Jen, there's no trees that hit that outside edge of the roundabout. And I think I know why, but I'd like to hear why.
Yes, so we've got 6 shoe marks at our crosswalk points. So there are quite a few trees up to this point. But we would like to keep the views as you come up open to the buildings in this area right here.
So those
Let me
shrubs really need to hold the day. So what are the shrubs?
Let me switch back to our. Chris, would you mind scrolling through there to get back to the correct circle? So at the circle, our plant selections, we've got Suzanne Fringe, we've got,
Out for me, please.
well, that's it right there. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sorry, this mouse, it jumps around a little
It's
bit. so-
very,
Is it wireless?
yes. Just jumps all over.
Throwing every one of mine away.
Hey, speak for
Yeah, they're
yourself.
fine for a cute little laugh.
Okay,
Can't draw all those things.
all right, so,
I literally threw one against the wall.
hard to believe.
So when they're tethered, you can't throw them against the
There's a little
wall, is what you're
office
saying.
Gotcha.
all right, so at the interior of our sidewalk, we've got pink muley grass, we've got vintage jade distilium at a stagger here, we have accents of oak leaf hydrangea, these are the Suzanne Fringe, and then it mirrors over again to the other side, the design. And then at the back, we've got the recurved ligustrum, these 3 symbols here, again, the oak leaf, some Forster's featherweed grass, so it's got a little height, it's more vertical, and then again, it's mirrored across. And then up here, we have a combination. The triangle pattern is a purple pixie loropetalum, so it's more of it's a shrub, but it's more of a ground cover. It's got that good purple color. And then we mixed in some, this is big blue liriope, the coneflower, black-eyed Susan mix, and then I think this is our daylily hatch. We have ruby spider is a red, kind of taller daylily, and then we were proposing a stella for the smaller yellow.
Only thing to that is just make sure, study it and just make sure there's not as much stuff that goes away in the fall and the winter. Your grasses, your perennials and all that stuff, and I would just say, just make sure there's enough evergreen to really hold the day around that roundabout.
I think on this,
All that stuff doesn't just
yeah.
disappear come,
well, we've got the distilium, the Suzanne Fringe, and the intent is for the grasses to not be cut back until spring. And you want them to kind of have that structure and form and to remain through fall and winter. And the muley grass will have the interest in the fall. So I think there's a lot of seasonal, year-round interest going on in the circle.
good, thank you.
Let's comment on the hardscape too. The 3 crosswalks that you have near the circle, if we're going to pavers in the circle, it might be nice to make those crosswalks out of the same pavers as well. Again, just from the standpoint of having your circle that's a prominent feature of your development, to make that just a little nicer.
If I push the envelope, I'm paving that whole thing, including the crosswalks, and you're just doing different colors and patterns of the pavers within.
Right, that's
I mean, you can mix
another way
concrete
to
in there
go
as
with it.
well.
Right.
And for the crosswalks, you know, I think the intent of the roundabout, the larger space, the traffic space was to use a stamped concrete. I think that's why the brick pattern was on there, to have a stamped concrete surface, to give that perception of pavers, but using a concrete product, then with the smaller, the truck apron being the true pavers. I think it would look nice to have pavers in the walkways, but traditional pavers, you know, have a tendency occasionally to settle and could create a trip hazard. So if that, the desire was to have a kind of a,
We use them all over the place.
I think more of an aesthetic, I understand that, but it's, I would lean toward more of a stamped concrete at a crosswalk that I think would have less of a concern with those type of tripping hazards.
We use pavers for crosswalks everywhere. And, yeah, they might settle, maybe they won't. So, my thought is, I'd like them to present this to staff and distribute it. I don't want to hold this
Right.
up anymore on this point, but
We do.
I'd really like to see a definition or a better definition of what those materials are in there, and then based on our comments here, I mean, that area could really sing, and as you see, for whatever reason, I'm focused, I guess because it looks like a target. But anyway, it just needs something. And the feedback I'm hearing is you guys weren't quite sure what it was all gonna be, so, I'd like to.
I think it's fine to have staff approval on that, taking into
Sure.
account our comments, right? So.
Makes sense. Yep.
Is staff okay with that?
We are.
Yeah, and then you've always got the option, if you're not
Yeah.
comfortable, bring it back here.
I mean, and there's so many different things you can do. The buildings really sing. You know, the buildings have really improved. There's so many different things you can do around that focal point and those views. I mean, it's just other than, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Materials clarified. Okay.
Got them all.
Quick question going back to I think it's the 2.0. There's the abbreviation PROP, P-R-O-P, in front of ADA ramp, in front of truck apron.
Proposed, it's an abbreviation for proposed, so
It's abbreviation for what?
proposed.
Proposed, okay. I should know that, but I just was trying to, all right, proposed, all right. Because it was a prop crosswalk and a prop truck apron and a prop,
Right,
okay,
right.
proposed, all right, got it.
Sometimes we label,
Very good, very good.
If it was a movie studio, we might think it means something else.
Yeah.
something they can fold up and put away at night.
Yes, it's on that drawing right there, yeah, where all the PROPs are. So just want to be sure. We're full of acronyms these days and just not sure what that may have stood for.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on landscaping at this point?
I think we covered all the.
Okay, that's good. Is there any, before we do any kind of motion, is there any public comment for this application? I know, we do. We're packed full. There is no public comment, so, all right, very good. Does somebody want to craft a motion on the landscaping?
I can.
Okay.
As soon as I get my thoughts put together here.
All right, Pat, we'll give you a minute to,
My notes.
just don't throw your mouse at me, I'll be good.
So we got the transition point between the part wall and the modular wall.
Yep, got that.
Match the stone facing Rolling Evans, and then the roundabout. And then your plan, I don't do plans.
You doing?
No.
You guys can sit down. Give me 1 second.
They be on the edge of their seats, Pat, just.
Well, as Pat is doing, I'll say thank you for being back in front of us again this morning. We appreciate your,
I don't think you have any public comments on this one either, since we have no public here.
no, I just have my little reminder note here, so that's why I have to do that. It's to be staring at me, make sure I follow the,
About this is reading my handwriting now.
we'll be in trouble.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. I will craft a motion on DRB 220039 Parkway 400 office buildings, landscaping, that the exterior wall, modular portion, stone portion extends roughly another 30 feet to the, which way is it up?
West?
Is west up?
West is up.
To the west, towards the first parking space,
Parking island.
parking island. Okay, Tracy? Okay. The stones shall match the Evans property next door, including the railing. Plantings shown may adjust per our comments and feedback regarding perennials versus evergreens. And roundabout paving material refinement shall be issued to staff based on comment and feedback of the board today. End of motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Corkle, a second by Mr. Swing. Any comments, questions about the motion? Okay, I assume the motion was to approve the landscaping with,
That's it?
No.
Oh,
Those
are some
good comments.
Approve with those conditions.
well, boy, I didn't get enough coffee today.
okay. All right, just a point of clarification on that. All right, any comments, questions? There being none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed, no opposition. Motion passes 4-0. Very good.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right,
For working
appreciate
with
it.
us.
Yes, appreciate that. All right. There being no further business, no further applications, and with no objections from fellow board members, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Wow. 9:50. Holy smokes. Good job. Well done.